Lamont has the next question for me on Patreon, and it's a superhero-related question I myself have been curious about. With the new Captain Marvel movie out, I've been wondering, do you think it was a coincidence that Carol Danvers was given the same last name as Supergirl, aka Linda Kara Danvers? As I said, this is something that's crossed my own mind, especially when the Captain Marvel movie was announced. I'm a fan of the currently airing Supergirl television series, where her alter ego is known as Kara Danvers. So, seeing that Captain Marvel's real name is Carol Danvers made me go, huh, that's interesting. Thankfully, when I saw Captain Marvel, I was able to get invested in the character, and her name did not distract me. But it does beg the question how two all-powerful female superheroes from different comic book publishers ended up with similar names. It's worth pointing out that Supergirl came first, with her Kryptonian name established as Kara Zor-el. Her alter ego, upon landing on Earth, was Linda Lee, and then in 1961, she was adopted by the Danvers family, thus becoming Linda Danvers. Carol Danvers would make her debut in Marvel Comics in 1968. Why was she given the same surname as Supergirl? I don't know. The writers at Marvel definitely did not live in some sort of bubble where they ignored whatever DC and other comic book publishers were doing. In fact, they were able to swoop in and trademark the name Captain Marvel, taking advantage of a lawsuit DC had against Fawcett Comics, the original creator of Captain Marvel, who later became Shazam after DC acquired the rights. Superhero comic book history sure is complicated, isn't it? Anyway, back to the Danvers, there's a theory that Marvel saw Carol as their own equivalent to Supergirl, and they used the name as sort of an homage. Or they just stole the name, that's also plausible. I don't think it's a coincidence, because I'm sure somebody in the Marvel offices would have been aware of DC's stable of superheroes and said, hey, isn't Supergirl's alter ego Linda Danvers? Are we allowed to do that? When Supergirl has been adapted to the screen, she seems to adopt different Earth names. In the 1984 movie, she named herself Linda Lee. In the Bruce Timm animated series from the 90s, she borrowed her cousin Clark's surname and became Kara Kent. And Smallville apparently does the same thing. For the Supergirl television series, the showrunners decided to give her the name Kara Danvers, essentially combining her Kryptonian name with that of her foster family on Earth. In universe, this is primarily because she's already a teenager when she lands on Earth, and it makes logical sense she would keep the name Kara. But I also wonder how much of this is the writers being cheeky. Warner Brothers is interested in making a Supergirl movie, albeit set in the DC universe of movies, rather than the DC universe featured on television. But now that Carol Danvers has become the lead protagonist of a billion-dollar grossing blockbuster from another studio, will they opt for Kara Danvers, or go back to Linda Lee? Ultimately, I do think, even with their similar names, both of these heroes are able to stand up on their own and are different enough to not invite direct comparisons. Part of why Supergirl is one of my favorite superheroes is how she aspires to shine a brightness to the world for her optimism and enormous heart. Meanwhile, Captain Marvel shows someone who is able to break free from those who sought to limit her potential. In the unlikely scenario these two fictional characters would meet, they would probably share a laugh at both being named Danvers. That these two continue to be celebrated so many years later is a testament to their strength as powerful characters who inspire their readers or anyone who has watched them on screen. I think it also shows what a fantastic character Supergirl is that the creators of Carol Danvers would want to use her surname. Too often, comic book and superhero fans like to pit characters from different companies against each other, and I think that's the opposite of the moral codes of these heroes. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank Otto Binder and Al Plastino for creating Kara Danvers, and Roy Thomas and Gene Colan for creating Carol Danvers. I'm sure they will be proud of how far they've come. And thank you, Lamont, for asking this question.